on the air. Well, then there you
Exactly.
go. How was Christmas for you, my friend?
Not bad. We actually did family Christmas yesterday, so
Oh,
I'm a little bagged today. I promise
got it.
not to fall asleep at the microphone.
Being that we're recording this on the 29th, you were only 4 days late, but that's
Well, it's the logistics, right? There's the extended family, and people had one of the guys has got overtime duty, so he was working Christmas and
oh, got
Boxing
it.
Day um, at 2.5 times pay. So
It's hard to say no to that.
yeah, exactly. And so then we were in Lindsay, which means I got to drive home through the ice storm last night,
Okay, so
which
you
was
did get an ice storm last night.
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
and not as
we got
bad
the
as
ice storm
last
on
year, but
we got the ice storm on the 27th, on the 26th, and then I had to do a wine tour because that's one of the things I do, obviously.
yes.
On the 27th, and nobody had looked after any of the vans. So I got there at 9 in the morning, going, "Oh, okay, I'll just." Yeah, it took me an hour to get that ice off.
Yeah,
So
easy. Yeah,
no,
yeah. We had a half an inch of ice in the front of the car by the time we got home. So difference
oh, in the front
between
of the car, and you were driving.
yeah, yeah. The difference
Okay.
between low beams and high beams was vague because the ice is just diffusing everything.
Yeah, no, excuse me. I had to chip it off in the morning when I left. But the good news is I had turned the car on at 10 o'clock because my neighbor was coming home. We were just keeping the cars off the road, so we just switched cars.
Hmm.
Obviously, because you don't want anybody, plowing into your car in the middle of the night because they can't see shit.
Always a bad idea.
And then, as I said, the bands were totally just coated, probably in a half sheet of ice, and then solidified. So basically, turn your car on and wait is
Yeah,
all you can do.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
um, we didn't. We were supposed to get the freezing rain last night, and it didn't. It looks like it just stayed as rain. Like
Yeah.
right now, we're getting some snow. We're getting some flurries in the air, but yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I think we're just above zero here, so there's a lot of dripping going on. Yeah, I got
Yep.
2 degrees, so
We got +3 and flurries. So
hmm.
going, and it feels like -7, whatever that means, for the
Yeah.
wind. The wind's just whipping away, and I don't know if you can hear this
Oh
stupid.
yeah, yeah. I just caught it as you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear that thing. It sounds like somebody's scratching to get in.
Yeah.
Trust me, at night when you're everything's quiet and blah blah blah, and then the wind picks up. Yeah, it sounds like some neighbors coming through. So yeah,
Lovely. Yeah.
may
That's what
try
the
to
twist
figure out a
ties are.
way to get that off
That's
of
what
there
the cable
today.
ties are for. You're just gonna strap everything down.
I'm just gonna I'm just gonna try. There's a hook. She did attach a hook to you know, but it's there's nothing holding it down now. Whatever she used before is gone.
Ah,
Rope, string, whatever, it's long gone. So I'm gonna have to cable tie it if
yeah.
she's gonna keep it up for any much longer. So
Yeah. It's good. I can
well, for
also
next
see it.
year.
I can see it in your lighting too. It's a little bit of shade every
Yes,
time
my
it comes
lighting is
through.
good. Yeah, because it's the thing. The thing's whipping around. Like the wind is pretty good out here. I don't know what yours is like.
We don't have much yet, but I guess it's coming. So, you
It's
know,
coming.
yeah.
So what it's writing over the holidays tough or no?
Yeah, yeah, tough. I actually did the stats, and I'm surprised that I got as much done as I did. Um,
Oh,
so
I to be honest with you, I think I put in my most work in the last 2 days, and I did. Between I wrote 5 days, which I was shocked that I got 5 days in,
wow,
and the only time I got two in a row was yesterday and today.
hmm, cool. Yeah, I just there's been too much going on, and it's been basically impossible to get. I'm at, I'm at the point where I need to really make sure that a whole bunch of things are coming together, and that means I need to be able to sit down and concentrate for like 3 or 4 hours. And if I get an hour and a half, I'm lucky. So,
Oh,
you
see,
know,
I take it in the morning though. Like this morning I woke up at 5 on my own, and I just stared at the ceiling for about half an hour, and I went, screw it, it's time to go. Time to
yeah,
write something.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 cats and 2 dogs that interfere with that. So it's like, if I maybe I should, you know, put a cabin up the hill here. do,
Like a little writing place and a place to
do
maybe
an
for
actual retreat. Because
a retreat on your own property.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, or
So what did you get? What did you get done? Like theoretically, your manuscript's supposed to be done in 2 days. I wish you all the
yeah,
luck in the
yeah,
world.
yeah, good theory, eh? I wrote 1,116 words.
Oh, okay. Well, you got more than I thought you'd get.
Yeah,
The way you were
it
talking.
surprised me too, right? Especially since, I mean, I'm at the point where I'm back at that point where I think I should just print the whole damn thing out and, you know, start making notes until I can actually get my head around some of the finer details. You know, just I'm in the third act where everything has to come together, you know, and
Yeah.
um, it's proving difficult to make sure that everything's coming together to really
Did you add
get.
any more scenes, or did you, or you
Um,
kept
so my scene count is actually down by one, which
so
confuses me.
66?
Well, no, what am I at in terms of draft two? Sorry, draft
Uh,
one. I've got 69 in draft one state.
Okay.
I have two in outline state, which is, you know, basically I sat looking at the synopsis for these scenes, and I sat there and I looked at it and I looked at it and I couldn't really figure out what the hell I was supposed to do. So in the end, I just wound up going, okay, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to. So I've got, you know, bullet point outline, and then I just moved on to the next scene because it's like, if I'm going to sit there and spend 2 hours staring at a synopsis and no words come out, then it's time to shift to the next thing. So now the number of scenes that are in new state is down to 13, which is down from 18. But my total scene count is 84 instead of 85, which confuses me. I'm not sure how I did that. I must have wiped out one of those scenes that was
One of those scenes.
yeah. Actually, you know, if I go back and I look at my stats, I have one scene in relocate state, which means it's still there. It's just not in my reporting. So yeah, it's still 85 scenes total. It's just that I've got one that I think I have to move. So I changed the state, and I don't have it in the stats that I extracted.
So you're up 2 scenes from last time we talked.
um,
The
I
69
have
you say are done. 69 are done.
yeah,
Two in outline.
I got two done, two
84,
outlined, and
84,
one
5
in
is the goal.
transit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't suck, but you know, I was hoping to at least hit 3K. Well, I knew that this 2 week period was going to be problematic, um, so it's problematic. I'm,
I think every Christmas I get bogged down. I was surprised like the first half of December. I think I said I got 9 days written, and then that I got five between the 17th and 29th. Is although the numbers were really low. Like I mean, the 17th 569,
hmm,
19th 942. Like I only got 5,059 done between in the last 2 weeks.
hmm.
But
That's 500 is a good day for me. So,
oh no, I was, and I think I cracked the nut. I think I know where it's going.
oh, good, good.
Yeah. So like it hit me in the one morning, and I knew where it was kind of going, but I'm always wondering how the hell I'm going to get there. I'm like BJ and the Bear or whatever that thing. We got a long
Hmm.
way to go and a short time to get there or whatever that song was. But
Yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
was
waiting to get into the final stretch. You know, like to get the last few scenes going, and my gut says I'm going to have some momentum when I get there. But the problem is, I still don't have my head around all the things that need to be set up, right? So it's extremely slow right now. And cross your fingers and
well,
hope that the dam
well,
bursts.
my biggest problem now is I know where I'm going, right? And I want to get there, but I gotta slow the roll.
Ah,
right? I can't just get there. I need to, now roll out the scenes and how much, because I know now what's going on.
mm-hmm.
How much do I roll out in each scene to still make it viable for somebody to continue to read
Right,
or continue to be interested, um, based on what I know
right,
and
right.
what I'm telling them,
Yeah, that's
right?
tough. Yeah, that's tricky.
Yeah. So three. I've got three basic storylines. They're all at some point either going to come together, or you know this everybody will figure out their side of the plan and blah blah blah. But then how do you, not tell something in this one before you tell it in that one, and then if you tell it over here, how much do they know? And it's just now it's a weaving act of, it's like basket weaving. You're like, okay, this one gets on here, this guy gets on top of that one, and now we're trying to weave our way through, to the end without giving too much away.
Right.
Uh,
I have,
uh,
ironically, exactly the opposite problem. I ha- I have I have two detectives who unknowingly are actually working the same case. Right,
yeah,
one's working on it from a fraud and theft point of view. The other one's working on it from the homicide point of view.
yeah,
And they're sort of the odd couple, right? One's very straight laced and very by the book kind of guy and very ex-military, and the other one is more of a Columbo character, and they don't like each other.
okay,
So I need this scene where they wind up meeting and sort of talking about the case, but neither of them shares the thing that will cause the breakthrough for them to figure it
okay, all right,
out. Right? So they're in the context of your book, they're the reader.
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm in the moment where I'm killing off people,
Uh huh.
right? Certain people have to die. Certain people, I don't know if they're gonna die. I just shot some guy in the street this morning, like last minute. I'm like, all right, he's heading off to his car. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with him later. Shoot him. I
See,
hope I don't need him.
all of my bodies, there are no more bodies to be found here. Everybody who's been killed has been killed. My characters are trying to figure it out.
I do, because my girlfriend lives in Italy. Um, we do a little, weekly meeting ourselves, just to make sure we've caught up on it, on,
Yeah.
everything, because everything gets really busy. And, turns out because she's been here now for the last, 2 weeks, we haven't had those meetings because we've been here, right? We know
Right.
what each other.
Yeah. Exactly.
And now I don't know if I remember telling you, but on the like, which I didn't realize was on Sunday the 30th of November, my neighbor I found her in the snow outside,
Yeah.
right?
You
She had
mentioned
collapsed.
that I think off air, but yeah.
Yeah, and so it turns out that had I not showed up when I did, she probably had another hour out there,
Right.
and that's what the hospital said to her. And so during the meeting that I had with Ophelia later on that day, she said, "You saved a life,"
Yeah.
and I said, "Well, I guess." And so in our meeting notes, I have, saved a life saved a life in brackets in real, killed somebody on paper. So it was pretty funny.
That's a good net gain.
Yeah, think I'm all right.
That is funny.
So a little karma came to town, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it's a good job you found her. That's for sure.
yeah, it was good but it was really funny to read that as because we had a little meeting just yesterday, just to, catch up. 'Cause, although you're in the same house,
Yes.
you're all doing some different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, it's really snowing now. Um, so we were just catching up on certain things, and yeah, I was reading back the notes, and I thought it was pretty fun.
That is funny. No, and good job that you noticed and actually cared enough to do something too. A lot of people would just
So,
walk by.
what are the word count? Theoretically, you are somewhere in 72,000 range, you know?
72, 791.
72, 791.
Yeah.
All right. I'm at 58, 527, 56 chapters. Don't ask me
Woohoo.
the scenes. There's probably 3 or 4 scenes per chapter.
Right.
So consider it 100 plus scenes.
Cool.
So I now that first draft not going to get done, right?
We kind of knew that it wasn't going to happen, but it was a good goal. I mean, I got my average output is still up from before I set that goal, right? Which is all I really expected was to have some kind of a something to shoot for and go from there. I don't think it was ever realistic that I get the whole draft done by the end of the year, but I still really want to push to get this thing, because now that I'm going back into the manuscript to look at to figure out what's going on, get some of the details back. Every time I go in, I see places to do stuff in the second draft. I think I put this in a blog post. Somebody said, your first draft is gathering all the seeds. The second draft is planting
Mm-hmm.
them.
Rearranging, getting them moved into places. So
I,
have you
more dramatic
decided
than
to?
that, though. More. You're just sort of gathering all this stuff together, and then really you're building something in the second draft. And I see that, right?
Yeah.
I keep on looking at stuff and going, okay, I need to put more information in here about what the character's state of mind is. I need to do this. I have to, describe this environment better. I have to, so there's like piles and piles of notes, and that makes me really. Ironically, I thought when I got to the second draft to be like, oh God, I got to revisit this and sort it all out. But if I get the first draft together properly, there won't be structural issues. It's all just going to be raising the level of prose, right? It's making it better.
I don't even half the time I don't even give places a city. I just give them, they're a place, and then I'll give it a city later,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I'll just write unless I'm like I did write a book called Holy Camoli, just because it's a town in Italy. It's a small town in Italy that I decided to blow up, and we were actually visiting it, and there was a bicycle drove up. We were sitting up because it's on the coast, and this bicyclist drove up, dressed all in black in the middle of summer,
Mm-hmm.
and he got off his bike and he just leaned it up against this wall to go into a cafe and get a coffee. But he had the craziest setup on his bike. He like had 2 water bottles and everything, and I just started thinking, what happens if one bottle mixes with the other and kaboom? And, and I was with Ophelia at the time, and I started pointing things out, and she goes, "Why are you going to blow up this beautiful city?" And I'm like, "Why not?"
Because
So
it'll go boom. Why else?
because it'll go boom and things will happen, and so I think I did blow up. In the book, I blew up half of the city. Uh,
Okay.
And somehow I combined Nazis in there too, so it was a lot of fun. So because every book deserves a Nazi, line in there somewhere.
Did you blow up the
Hidden,
Nazis?
hidden Nazi gold, so
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
treasure, right?
Ah,
So it's Europe, right?
right.
So there's probably Nazi treasure hidden in every city in Europe. Just nobody's 100% sure where. So I've moved my draft of this book to the end of January,
Right.
just because I had the thing in Dabble, and every time I checked, because I had the goal that I wanted 80,000 words. That's what I set as my goal. I'll probably blow by it, but I mean that's what my goal was set up.
Right.
And then every time I would go there, the obviously because I'm not writing every day, and the word count was getting up and up, and you're like 3,000 words today. I don't think I'm going to hit it. The next time 4,000 words, and you're like, well, I'm really not going to hit that. So I moved everything back to the 31st, and like today I hit the goal because I did 1255, and the goal now is 800 words a day. So it's a little easier to one, hit the goal, two, feel good about yourself, and three, not worry that in 2 days I'm gonna fail.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think I'm probably in the same boat, right? I just move the target to the end of January and go from there. But I think I'm actually going to print a draft and start marking it up and try to figure out if I can focus long enough to get my head around all this stuff because it all has to fit. I don't want to be I don't want to be looking at the second draft and having taken the level of writing up to something I find acceptable and then discover that 70% of the way through there's a structural issue that causes all that effort to be rewritten.
Yeah, that's I figured that out. I had one of those moments this week, or in the last 2 weeks, where I was writing something and I'm like, wait a second, I'm pretty sure his dad's dead.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a little rewrite just as I'm sitting here writing this, and I think I'm just gonna change the tone of the conversation
Right.
in,
Yeah.
instead of "How's your dad?" to he's dead, right?
Right.
So you're rubbing it in, which is how I got out of it because
Right.
I started, they're asking about the family, and I'm like, my father's dead.
Hmm.
So I went, oh, good, that's a cheap fix. I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't have to get rid of all this wonderful dialogue that they were
Hmm.
having.
Right.
So, yeah. So,
As long as it works for that character, you're good. Yeah.
well, I'll be, look, it may end up, ending up on the cutting room floor as a lot of stuff does, but I was like, I don't want to lose these words yet.
Right.
I'm
Right.
still, I'm still trying to find the word count. So,
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, you have to worry about when does the word count become so much of a goal that you're not actually doing what you're supposed to be doing when you're writing.
yeah,
You know.
I think that's where editing comes in, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and I kind of go with I took a Harlan Coben. I don't want to call it a course, but when the BBC Maestro courses or whatever they call them,
Okay.
master classes, BBC Maestro, and Harlan Coben did one. He said, look, if you're doing it, if you're writing, especially in your first draft, throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. That's what
Right.
editing is for. All right. If it seems far fetched, who cares? Throw it in there. If you can't make it work, then you got to get rid of it, or you can save it for another book. He says, He said, I got a binder full of uh, stuff that great scenes that he's just held on to in case he needs them again.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a few of those. Mostly scene ideas. Like
Yeah.
you're bopping along through this book, and then there's something tangential that comes up, and it's like, oh, that would be interesting and maybe worth exploring. So I go back. I've got a little application with a weird name called Cherry Tree, and it's a
Okay.
note taking app, right? And it's really complicated. It's got all sorts of features buried into it, but I basically use it as a big scratch pad. So I've got, I don't know, a couple of hundred nodes just on all the things I figured out in publishing and all that kind of stuff. I've got a list of reviewers. I've got a list of places where you can put your book. I got a list of this. I got a list of that. So there's this big pile of things, and a book launch checklist, and a bunch of Kickstarter notes. And it's just crazy place. So when I have an idea like that, and it's like it's not related to this, it comes from the story, but it's not really part of the story. I'll just go into the ideas section. And go, what about something that happens like this? And leave it and go on. So
So just for anybody who has been watching us for the last, I don't know, what are we, six or whatever we're at.
Yeah, well, I did that renumbering thing because the number of broadcast episodes and our number of meetings were off by two, and it was starting to cause errors. So I, I
So
renumbered everything to the our number of sessions. So we actually our podcast number is actually too higher than the number of podcasts. Um,
correct, because we podcasted for ourselves.
well, I mean, the first two times we got together, we were just talking.
Yeah,
Right. So there is no recording of that. And then we thought, okay, well, let's embarrass ourselves in public. And,
and
you
do
know,
this way.
yeah.
So last time, because we supposedly have no hook, now we have a hook. The hook was series,
Ah, yes.
and the question was on series books.
Right.
Good, bad, or indifferent, problems, pitfalls, likes and dislikes. I think I knew where you stood on
Yep.
it as we ended, but
Yeah.
now I'm interested to find out why.
I, I found with series, basically the idea is to leave the reader with something hanging so that they go off and buy the next book. And that's a cheap trick as far as I'm concerned. I want a book to start, have a middle, have an ending. I mean, sure, you might have a couple of minor loose ends, but I there was one that I read and it was like, they go through it was a space opera thing, and they do this and they do this and they get in prison and they do that blah blah blah, and they finish up by getting onto the plane to escape. That's the end of the fucking book. It's like, that's not a satisfying ending, my friend. That's a book that isn't finished that you decided to print.
So, but you're talking about like a different kind of series, whereas let's say Lee Child writes about Jack Reacher.
Right,
Each story is its own story. You can come into a Jack Reacher book in any book.
right,
He reintroduces the character at the beginning, so you don't have to read book one, or but it's a briefer description. Like
right,
in book one, full description of the guy. In
right,
book six, big guy, tall, strong, whatever. You get a brief. It's introduce you to the character, but you don't have to go fully into his background. But each book ends with a satisfying conclusion, and he just walks off, like he leaves,
right,
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 on to the next adventure,
right.
if there is. And if you never pick up another Reacher book, you go, that was a satisfying book.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's different for me. That's a collection, right?
okay, so a collection of stories, as
Right,
opposed to what you consider a series.
right. Yeah, exactly. The for me, a series is you're sort of picking up where you left off somehow, and yes, you have to try to conclude the story, but a conclusion of all of these people escape and hop on the spaceship to leave is not what I would consider a satisfying conclusion, right? Like if I if I didn't know that book was part of a series and I was a reviewer, my review would not be kind about how the book ended.
So you would not be happy with the Lord of the Rings, let's say, because there's the Fellowship of the Rings and the Return of the King and all of that. So
Um,
Tolkien was wrong. Is this what
I think,
you're
I
getting at?
mean, when you've got something that where you're dealing with individual tomes, I don't think you have much of a choice, right? Like you've got a publishing limit to how many pages you can stick into a binding.
Yeah,
Which
I get that part.
so then it depends, I guess, as well as to whether or not you're releasing, the whole series as a unit or not. But yeah, I just have trouble with things where the premise of the book in the beginning and the point where the book stops doesn't fully satisfy the premise.
So this is like those mirror those. So your definition of a series um, goes back to like the old movies. Like back in the, like, I don't know, 50s or 60s, with the black and white, and the horse is galloping along, and the hero's on the horse, and there's the cliff, and blah blah blah, and the horse, the horse isn't going to stop, and he goes over, and they say, come back next week,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then next week, you saw the horse jump, you saw the hero on the horse, but now this week he's hanging onto the cliff, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's that's
Yeah.
not
You
fair.
should hear me
That's
swear
not what
when
happened.
when a show goes to be continued,
Yeah,
right? Because I may never pick the continuation up, right?
yeah,
And it's like, and now it's at the point where we'll be sitting, be watching something, and it's like, okay, we're well into what should be the third act, and the writers are not in the third act. This thing is not going to wrap up.
yeah. They're not there. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just either it's going to wrap up really badly, or it's not going to wrap up, and we're in to be continued situation. And either
yeah.
way sucks, right? I mean, you
Well,
suckered me into
we
this
just finished.
story.
We just finished watching The Hunting Wives and Task. One's an HBO show. Task. The other one is I don't remember who put out The Hunting Wives. Both wrapped up,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you could see them not coming out with another. Although I understand Hunting Wives is going to have a season two. Not 100% sure how they're going to come
Right.
up with.
Yeah, that's
But
funny too. Yeah.
and then Task is pretty much wrapped as well, unless they bring the character back and just give him
Right. Yeah. And
a
I
new thing.
I have no problem with that. I mean, my main character in this thing is basically a superhero, and he survives. So there's probably more stories that I can put him into.
So that's my next question. You bring
Right.
him back. See,
Right.
every every time that I've got two series of three books, and each one is a standalone. It's a different case or a different event that happens.
Right.
At the end, I didn't know I was going to write about it again, but I was like, I like that character. Let me see if I
Sure.
can put him in
Yeah.
some other situation.
Exactly. Yeah. And I have a strong female protagonist in this story, who I now have a mental image of her background and how she got from high school to where she is, and I want to find a way to tell her story, right? And it's less science fictiony and a little bit darker.
Yeah,
um, so I would love to write something about her character, and I think there may be more than one good story in there, and so that's really going backwards. Like, she's a fully formed character in this book, but then it's like, okay, how did she get to be there, right?
so like just to put a nice little bow on this one, if we can.
Yeah.
So Brendan Sanderson, I think,
Yes.
yeah. Again, I don't read science fiction, but I saw some of his courses online, and somebody said he's really good, and he is kind of fun to watch when he's done his his lectures on writing. He took over from some author. I have a buddy who's into science fiction, but he took over and finished up the guy's series.
Mm.
Although he was trying to make a trilogy and ended up with like 15 books or something like that. So, like, is that the kind of series that you're talking about when you're saying, obviously he must have ended book one with a cliffhanger for book two, and then he
Maybe.
just continued on the cliffhangers or the storylines with dangling
Yeah.
bits.
Yeah. If it was excuse me, if it was like watching if the book says the equivalent of the television show to be continued at the end, I would not be happy. I would not read the next book.
Yeah, I think that's where because I think the author, and again, I'd have to check with my buddy, but I mean, I think the guy built a world that got so complicated he couldn't finish it in three, so he had to keep going. And I'm
Right.
sure anybody who's watching us who does follow science fiction
And
will
now,
start writing in the comments, "You idiots! This is who it is."
there's
So
also, I mean, there are ways to work around that, right? If you have this underlying theme of some character struggle, and you're dealing with episodes that are still self-contained but advance that character's struggle over the course of 3, 5, 10, whatever number of books. I think that's it's not the sort of thing that I might read, but I think that's not a bad way to handle things, right? If you've got this main character who's got some deep conflict, and he, instead of figuring out how to deal with it, continuously kind of fails at getting there, that could work, as long as you've got a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end around that, right?
I think it's the reason I never got into science fiction, because I wanted something to be an ending, and I never watched Game of Thrones at the time, season to season, because I also would get lost,
Right.
waiting for the next year to. But when I did watch Game of Thrones, I watched all seasons back to back. Like I
Right.
took like a
Right.
whole month and watched everything because it was done.
Right. Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think I did the same thing for the most part with House of Cards or something like that.
Right.
I wanted to watch the entire series, as as a series instead of waiting a year for the next one to come out.
Right. And I think there's also a skill in there, because you're the cast of characters over that series changes, right? Because the people who are your main characters in the first series are largely dead.
Yep. Yep.
You've got these enduring characters that go through, but a pile of other characters come in, and you can never really be sure who's going to survive and who isn't.
Yep.
And that carries the storyline, right? And still, each series sort of has its conclusion. Like, there doesn't have to be another one to finish it up if you do it right, as far as I'm concerned, right? It's like, okay, we're at this point in time and Daenerys becomes queen of the world. Okay, I can believe that. We don't have to have her then collapse, right? The series
So,
could end, right?
because we seem to end on some kind of hook or a question, I think we've kind of exhausted the series idea.
Yes.
But here's the one I'm going to leave you to bring over into the next
Okay.
into the next year. And I think the next one, we're in person, and I don't know how we record that sucker.
Yeah.
Unless we just sit at the opposite ends of the table and just wave at each other, which
Well,
might be a way to do it.
I can bring gear, and you can bring your
So
gear, and we'll have,
I'll
the
have a
audio
computer
will
with me.
the,
So yeah,
the
we'll
audio
figure it
will
out.
be interesting. I mean, I've got this mic. I could probably set it up in between us.
Or
And
we'll just do it the normal way that we do it, and we'll just get together at another time. But anyway,
yeah.
we don't have to get together at that meeting. But here's the one that I'm going to leave you with to think about
Okay.
as we go into the new year. How do you know when to kill a character? I'm going to leave you with that one. I want you
Hmm.
to have a happy new year. I'm glad you had a good Christmas. Stay out of the weather, because it looks, I'm looking out there again, and it's looking not so good.
Yeah.
And so stay warm,
We'll
and
see
I
if we
will
can.
see you in Campbellford.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll retain power long enough for for it. Yes, sir.
I hope that happens. I can't be sitting with no power. That's not good.
Yeah, well, you are about 150 feet from the big power station, so you're probably, okay.
Oh, good. That's what I like to hear.
All
So when
right.
the big boom happens, I'll go first.
I don't think it's a hydro plant. It's not going to blow up.
Okay, we're all right then. All
Okay.
right, we'll talk. We'll talk in 2 weeks.
You got it.